As a journalist making content about Jamaica, I've been preparing another documentary to share with you this weekend. But there have been like 10 different people who shared a video with me in Instagram, Facebook, private messages. People were just sending the link to that video and saying, Irina, you have to watch this. And I'm like, yeah, what is the video?
My family as a whole will never step foot on the island of Jamaica again. I will go to Iraq, and I've been. I will go to Afghanistan, and I've been there, before I go back on the island of Jamaica.
Yeah, it's that bad. The video has a thumbnail, 18 months in hell, and the title, Why My Family Will Never Return to Jamaica. And it is published by Mario Stinger, who calls himself a Perpetual Traveller. So I thought, okay, let me do a little research on what happened there and just address every single issue he mentions, because obviously some of them are very incorrect. However, when I started doing the research, what I found was absolutely mind-blowing. And by the end of this video, you will know why I have decided to publish this. But first, let's address the issues he mentions about Jamaica.
I want to talk to you about Jamaica. I don't care if you're stopping for 2-3 days on a trip, if you're staying there for 1 week in a resort, or if you're gonna go move there for business, for work, for whatever, you need to watch this video.
He's not going to talk about Jamaica. He's going to talk about his personal experience while he lived in one house in Kingston in Jamaica, which obviously is not the same thing as talking about the country. The other thing is, as you will see throughout the video, the points he mentions are completely relevant to people who travel to Jamaica on vacation or who come on a cruise ship and so on.
You need to understand what we know here. We lived on the island for 18 months. We live in absolute luxury there in Kingston at the top of the hill in a magnificent house with a beautiful view, a private pool. My daughter was going to the best school at $30,000 a year. We moved literally to 9 different countries and visited 60, okay? And I would never go back to Jamaica.
Mario is a French-speaking Canadian who spent 18 months in Jamaica and calls the country hell. I'm a Russian-speaking Ukrainian who spent 7 years in Jamaica. I don't think Jamaica is a paradise, but I definitely think it is one of the best countries in the world to live. Mario claims that he has traveled the world and lived in 9 countries and been to 60. Well, I lived in 10 countries and been to 50. As a foreigner myself, living in Jamaica, having had quite extensive travel experience, I believe that I am qualified enough to make a response to his video. Basically, Mario brings up only 5 negative points, these ones, but he broke them down into 20 small personal examples that he didn't organize that well, so I had to kind of rearrange them into groups. Some of these points are true, some are half true, but most of them are fiction. I don't want to call them lies, but fiction. So first, let's start with Jamaica has bad infrastructure, because there is the most fiction in there.
Driving on the island, the issue is this. They use their high beams at night all the time. So you get blinded all the time. There's not much luminosity. And on top of that, to make it worse, okay, the roads are like a war zone. So that's why the UN was giving us special training, special advanced driving skills in muds and stuff like that. I think it was really useful. I learned a lot from that course, but the reality is it's needed on the island. Trust me.
It is true that often people drive at night with high beams that can blind you. That's why it's better not to drive at night in Jamaica unless you are an experienced driver. However, UN footage he is showing makes it look as if there are no roads in Jamaica or that they are really bad. Sure, some roads in the hills would have potholes, but not this. If you want to know what roads really look like in Jamaica, there is an excellent YouTube channel called In Jamaica that has a lot of footage with roads. Please check it out.
Kingston, the pollution is extreme. Even if you wash your floors every single day, you're still gonna have your brown feet. At the end of the day, you're gonna have to wash your feet before going to bed because they're gonna be super black and dirty. Unfortunately, Kingston, tremendously polluted because they burn the dump and everybody burns everything anywhere. Instead of just throwing your garbage out, you're gonna just burn them, burn your leaves or burn whatever.
Air pollution is not measured by dusty feet. It is measured by the concentration of PM 2.5. And these are tiny particles that we can breathe in. The higher the concentration of these particles, the more polluted the air is. The air pollution level in Jamaica is very low, even in Kingston, and it is lower than in Montreal, Mario's hometown in Canada. Kingston would usually have an average of 3.1 concentration of PM 2.5, while Montreal would often have peaks of over 20. However, it is true when people do their gardening in Jamaica, they often have to burn branches and leaves because there is currently no other solution, and this is the real problem, not the overall air pollution, like Mario is claiming. Then Mario complains about ATMs, so that they take 20 minutes for a transaction. And it's funny that he's showing the footage of an ATM in Russia for some reason.
I mean, half the time they don't work or they don't have the right standard. And I even asked a banker once, I said, are you giving massages when you go to the ATM? Because damn it, why do they take 20 minutes just to withdraw some money? Well, I don't know if they're slow in everything they do. They don't understand how ATM works, but man.
Well, here's an ATM in Jamaica.
Welcome. Please enter your secret number. Enter the amount when you are ready. Please wait while your transaction is processing.
However, if you're using an international card, which could have been the case with Mario, and if it takes slower at every ATM, this means that your bank back home doesn't give a fast response. So it looks like Mario has blamed Jamaican ATMs for the work of his bank in Canada or wherever he has a bank account.
Most developing nation I know will always have one or two hospitals for expat or for the rich people on the island or in the country. In Jamaica, not so much. It's all small little clinics open whenever. And if you get wounded on the weekend, good luck because most hospitals are closed.
There are plenty of hospitals in Jamaica. They're not small clinics. If you talk about private hospitals, I have footage of Andrews Memorial Hospital in Kingston or Hospiten in Montego Bay. They're open 24 hours, 7 days a week. And yes, if you live in a small rural community up in the hills, it might take time to get to hospital. But Mario lived in Kingston, so... The next block is that Jamaica is an expensive country. And this is true. I have a video that covers the cost of living in Jamaica and presents all factors arranged into 5 categories by different lifestyles. Mario's lifestyle would probably fit to what I call comfort in my video, about $10,000 per month. But you can survive in Jamaica for as low as $350 per month. Just check out the video and it will give you a better explanation. Now, the overall problem with Mario's video is that it doesn't provide facts. Instead, he makes assumptions and makes up stories. A few examples.
Jamaica has the most expensive electricity in the world. Most people are actually grifting on the grid.
Okay, I was trying to find the statistics he is using in his video because obviously he didn't provide any sources like where he got that graph. And I did find it. But if you look at the statistics, you will see that the country number 1 is Germany. I mean, he could have just said that Jamaica is in the top 5 most expensive countries or in the top 10, but he wanted it to make it sound as if it's the most expensive, so he photoshopped it to number 1. So there is nothing wrong with his statement that electricity is very expensive in Jamaica. It is true. However, listen to what he says afterwards.
Most people are actually grifting on the grid. So the problem is, by stealing electricity, it increases the price of it for everybody else, and JPS cannot keep up.
Basically, he doesn't know the real reason why electricity is so expensive in Jamaica, and instead he assumes that the reason for that is because Jamaicans are stealing electricity, like from each other, and that's what makes electricity expensive, which is not true, obviously. The reason why electricity is expensive in Jamaica is because JPS is a monopoly. I am actually going to make a video about JPS and about how electricity works in Jamaica and why it is so expensive. So if you don't want to miss that video, please don't forget to subscribe and check your bell notification so when the video comes out, you can check it out.
Food on the island is super expensive, but at the supermarket, it looks like after a zombie apocalypse. I'm not joking. Most of the time the fruit is either rotten or it's very bad. Over there, even if it's rotten, they're gonna leave it there.
Like obviously he went to a supermarket during some restock or something, so he found these empty shelves like being restocked. And then he found some older fruits and veggies that are being removed, and he just took the photos of them, which is ridiculous. This is not what you usually see in Jamaican supermarkets. But another thing that I really liked about it is this photo.
Okay, because people are still buying it and at extremely high price.
Why olives? Why not foie gras, for instance? Why not Reggiano Parmigiano? Why olives? I mean, it's just so random. Anyway, the most popular video on my channel is a video about the supermarket. It has over 600,000 views, so if you haven't watched it yet, feel free to check it out. I show shopping at Progressive Food Supermarket with prices for all types of goods, how much things cost, and so on. And I also have a video from a marketplace and how much fruits and vegetables cost there and what they are and the quality of these fruits and veggies you can also see from the video.
65% import tax. You bring a laptop that's $2,000, you're gonna pay $3,000 for that laptop.
I'm not sure where he got this 65%. Some import taxes can be 100% import tax. It depends what kind of goods. So yeah, it's true that import taxes are high. However, how is that relevant to personal items? He's making it sound as if no matter what you're bringing to Jamaica, you have to pay 65% tax on it. It's only when you are importing goods, like if the goods are delivered to you by some different company, like New Goods, right? Then you might be paying import tax on these goods. But when you're bringing your personal belongings, like the used goods, like your laptops, your cameras, your whatever, you're not paying any tax.
And you're gonna be constantly searched when you land as well. So if you think that you're gonna just fly in, you're gonna have some issues, you won't be able to do that.
I've been flying back and forth to Jamaica for over 7 years now, right? There hasn't been a single time I ever been searched. Not a single time. The guests who are coming to Jamaica, they never get searched unless they're bringing some kind of goods to declare or something like this. People don't just get searched for no reason. Then Mario talks about some parts of Jamaican culture that he couldn't understand.
The other problem is also soon come. This is the thing that as a Canadian, actually, I was going crazy. A friend of mine's from the Netherlands, he was freaking out because they're really punctual. On the island, forget about that. Soon come can mean 10 minutes from now, can be 3 weeks from now. You call a plumber, Maya, me soon come, okay? And then 3 weeks later, the plumber show up. You already had it fixed by someone else.
I myself have a video called 10 Reasons Why Living in Jamaica is Difficult. Not for me, for some people like Mario. And I do mention things like music that is a part of Jamaican culture and played in the open and often loud, and things like Soon Come. Here is a video, feel free to check it out by yourself. But the difference is, of course, I understand that this is the part of the culture. And I also have a video, 10 Reasons Why I Love Jamaica, to present the balanced opinion. Mario's video, on the other hand, is one-sided view and full of hate. Sometimes he doesn't even talk about his own experience, but talks about something he heard from someone else.
Indoctrination. This is the biggest issue that kids are facing, okay, maybe not the local, but the foreigners are. You're gonna be going to school and literally going to do devotion and all kinds of religious stuff. If you're not religious, like I'm not, that's an issue for your kids, okay? And if the second your kids are saying they're not going to church or they cannot name the church they're going to, okay, they're gonna be ostracized, they're gonna be ridiculed. It's insane how my friends actually suffered and got bullied because of this.
It's true that Jamaica is a highly religious country. There are a lot of Christians who pray, who go to church every Sunday. It's a big thing in Jamaica. To someone like me who's not religious either, it's really unusual. So this part is true. But to say that the kids are being discriminated against or being bullied because they don't go to church, I don't go to church. My husband doesn't go to church and my kids don't go to church. Have we ever experienced any discrimination about that? No. Nobody even ever asked us if we go to church or what church do you go to. I don't know where he came up with this. The next point he makes with a lot of examples is that people are bad. It's interesting because my experience is completely the opposite. People are one of the main reasons why I love living in Jamaica. But let's see what he's got to say.
Now, another big issue you have in Jamaica is micro theft. Now, I'm not talking about this jokey video of, well, this is my maid, she's still bread that I made. Okay, whatever. But the idea is micro theft is an extreme issue on the island for resort and personally.
All right, micro theft. These issues with micro theft can certainly happen, and I don't doubt that this could have happened with him and the person who worked at his house. But why does he make it sound as if it's something specific to Jamaica? What do you call that when tourists come to an all-inclusive hotel and then decide that, you know, they like these towels and their ropes, so they just pack them in their bags and take them with them? Is that micro theft? And you see, this is the issue all-inclusive hotels have to face all the time, with their items being stolen by their guests.
For nannies, the locals are hiring Filipinos because they don't even trust their own Jamaican neighbors to actually take care of their own kids.
Well, again, this is not true. Most Jamaicans usually have some relatives who are staying with their kids, or they would hire a nanny or a helper from some friend of a friend of a friend. So no, they don't hire Filipinos or someone from abroad. I can see clearly why he can be having problems with nannies and helpers and hiring other people. And the problem is his attitude, but we'll get to that later.
Dealing with the government. Okay, that's a big issue too, okay? Of course, it's a developing nation, but the thing is, there's a lot of corruption. Once they have a $500 bribe and you're not willing to give the money, then you could just wait for weeks. And so that's why a lot of people, they just shut up, they pay the fee, and that's it. But embassies and diplomats are not allowed to do that, okay? Or we shouldn't do it. So that caused a lot of issue on the island for that. Although they do respect diplomat, that's not bad, but yeah.
So what he's saying, as diplomats, we didn't give any bribe, and as a result, we still got through. So maybe bribe is not needed after all then. His message was basically that diplomats are not allowed to do any of that, like being involved in corruption, but the rest of the people can, sure. Well, Mario, nobody is allowed to give bribes. That's against the law, just in case you didn't know. In general, this is the topic where I'm biased because I come from Ukraine, and Ukraine has more corruption than Jamaica. So to me, corruption in Jamaica is nothing. I mean, it's barely existent. But to someone from Canada, it might as well be the case. At least that's what I keep hearing. I haven't experienced corruption myself in Jamaica, not yet. So, yeah.
Dealing with businesses in Jamaica could be very tough as well, okay? Not just the slowness and stuff like that, but also the lies and the deceit and the theft, okay? I'm gonna give you a perfect example. When we arrived, they told us that we had to give $2,000 to guarantee the return of the container to the port, okay? Even though it was their own trucker and it's not like I can just steal the container. But apparently Jamaicans do steal containers a lot, okay? They use them for housing and stuff like that. So they wanted us to give them $2,000 that would be returned 5 days later when the container is returned to the port.
Just a quick correction here. It's not 2,000 US dollars. It's about 900 US dollars. Big difference. Just saying.
I left the island 18 months later, and as you can see, I was still asking the guy to get my money back, and he wouldn't give it back to me. Okay, so I lost $2,000 right there.
Listen to this.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a perfect example.
For your perfect example of dealing with Jamaican businesses, you chose MSC. It's a Swiss company, Mario. If you didn't like what Jamaican branch did, you could have just called their head office in Genève. Vous pouvez parler en français. Vous pouvez leur expliquer le problème? Pourquoi pas? Or maybe he did, because a part of his message says, MSC confirms they're refunded. Which is strange. Why would the head office refund branch in Jamaica? Refund for what? You see, the detention deposit is not taken because they're worried that somebody can steal the container. It's taken because there are container detention charges, like a rent, to keep his container. So most likely, Mario didn't pay the charges, so he's lost his deposit. But he's not showing that part of the conversation, so I don't know. I don't want to make false claims, okay? Anyway, moving on from here to the most popular topic of them all, safety and crime. I have a video called Jamaica Crime Rate Explained. I also have videos about the representation of Jamaica in foreign and local media, which explains the real reasons why people think Jamaica is dangerous. So I won't go into details now on this topic. Feel free to watch these videos.
The security is difficult. Now, we had a bunch of security guard on the property, one at a time, of course. Hawkeye, the company that was providing them to us, okay, was providing us with a guy with a shotgun. Imagine this, okay, I'm getting out of my house to go swim with my daughter in my own private pool, and I have to have a guy with a 12-gauge shotgun right next to us because being attacked on your own property is a problem.
No, he didn't have a security guard with shotgun on his property. It's just a made-up story completely. I do have friends who work at UN. They have a house that they rent, and they do not have any security guards on their property, never mind the ones with a shotgun. They would have a contract with a security company like King Alarm or Marksman, just to have an alarm. That some people do that. We have that on our guest house. But other than that, no, people don't usually hire security guards.
And as the island is extremely dangerous, the UN does not allow us, or the embassies don't allow you to go buy the food with the locals.
So for someone who works in the United Nations, in Jamaica, there are no such restrictions. The only thing you might have recommendations. And you will get these recommendations in every single country. This is not specific for Jamaica.
My wife was attacked. She defended herself. She's a small little 110 pounds, fully wet, okay, girl, and she managed to defend herself against a 6-foot-tall Jamaican, okay, when he attacked her.
What really happened was his wife was walking in downtown Kingston and had her phone in her hands like this. The guy passed by, saw the phone, and wanted to grab the phone to take it from her. Now, she pulled back and fell down, and the guy ran away. This is what really happened. Now, she was taken to the doctor to check if she was all right because she fell down. I'm really sorry for what happened to his wife. I'm glad she wasn't hurt. I'm glad that her phone wasn't stolen in the end. But I would say that it makes total sense not to flash things on the street. And that's not only relevant for Jamaica, that's relevant for anywhere you go.
Even in resorts is a problem. If you travel to Jamaica, you're going to have to stay with the resort, and you're going to have to travel where they tell you to and make sure that you're going to be with the people of the resort. If you try to go out on your own, okay, it might be the last trip you'll ever take.
He makes it sound as if you are not allowed to leave the resort, which is simply not true. And he even says this.
You're taking this from a guy who actually lived in Africa and a bunch of countries and actually been to Iraq and Afghanistan. I'm telling you that, guys, it's very, very dangerous on the island.
I've traveled all across the island and I've never had any issues. And I do have quite a lot of videos filmed in all sorts of locations with different people. So, I mean, I don't know why Mario decided to give advice about something he has zero knowledge of. He hasn't traveled around the island. Okay, before I tell you who Mario actually is, just for the sake of it, you have his word, a word of a person who hasn't traveled around Jamaica, and you have a word of a person who has traveled around Jamaica. Can you get in trouble in Jamaica? Sure, especially if you have an attitude like, I'm the entitled, privileged, rich person and all of you are my maids and peasants, well then yeah, probably you're not going to be treated well in Jamaica because your attitude is absolutely horrendous. I've never seen any traveler like that, and that's what made me think I should do research on who this person is, because he's obviously not a traveler. He's certainly not a diplomat. He doesn't sound like a diplomat. It's just so clear because he's not educated enough. He doesn't have the manners. And I can tell you for sure, UN will never, like United Nations would have never hired a guy like that. A person in the comments suggested, let's get this video to the Ministry of Tourism and take it in from there, where Mario replied, good luck with that. Easier to try to shut the person telling the truth than fix your own problems. Except that, Mario, you're not telling the truth, are you? Look, the video was published on the 2nd of December 2021, but Mario is talking about his experience that happened in Jamaica from somewhere around April 2018 to July 2019. So you left Jamaica 2.5 years ago. Why are you making this video now?
When people ask me, should I go to a resort in Mexico or Jamaica? That's not even a question. Go to Mexico.
This is actually the real reason why he has made that video to defame Jamaica. He wants you to go to Mexico and buy accommodation from him. If you scroll through other videos on his channel, a lot of them are about timeshare, the method to purchase a use of property for a period of time. Like in case of Mario, he simply has the right to use the property for a certain number of weeks per year, and if he doesn't use them, they expire. So it's like paying for your holiday in advance for the rest of your life, and that's what Mario did. According to him, he has a timeshare at the Hall of Fame at legendary group that operates Hard Rock Hotel resorts. So his business idea is to find other people who would want to stay at these resorts using his legendary level so Mario can make some money on this. And he says so directly on his channel.
Now, what about those extra weeks that I'm not using? Well, I can give them to people in order not to waste those access. And this is exactly what I'm doing. And the price that I can transfer them to you are about the same price you would buy a week on Expedia, but with much more benefit.
So his video defaming Jamaica in the beginning of a high tourist season is simply to encourage his subscribers to buy his weeks in Mexico. Why don't they just buy them directly from Hard Rock? Good question. And that's because Mario is trying to trick them.
If you want all that access, well, what can you do? Become a member. $400,000 to become Hall of Fame Platinum. This is what we've paid over the years.
He makes it sound as if you need hundreds of thousands of dollars to access this legendary level. But in reality, of course, you don't need this timeshare. You can simply buy membership, and the entry is somewhere around $5,000 and you get like 10 to 20 weeks that you can use at discounted rates. But even if his offer sounds good somehow, I would think 10 times before buying anything from Mario because of what you're about to hear. I usually don't care about the author of the story or the video. All I care about is the message itself. But the case with Mario is very different because he's trying to use his status and experience as validation to give weight to his words. For example,
we've lived in warmer countries. We lived in Africa. We lived in Philippines. I had housing in other places around the world, including Switzerland. I drove all over the place, Mumbai, Hanoi, in Vietnam, everywhere.
So because he's such an experienced traveler, he knows better. We should trust him that Jamaica is a bad country. He also keeps bragging that he's super wealthy and has a diplomatic immunity. You heard it right. A wealthy diplomat who is making YouTube videos. First of all, Mario claims to be a professional journalist. He's also a writer of fiction. He wrote these 2 books. But this is not the fun part. The fun part is the statement about the author. Mario is a Canadian author whose career was in industrial counter-espionage. He also has been gravitating around the United Nations for many years and currently lives abroad where he is granted diplomatic immunity. Industrial counter-espionage? So he's not only a journalist and a writer, he's also like an anti-spy who writes about it openly in the internet. There is more. Mario Stinga is obviously not his real name. I'm publishing my books under a pen name. This is mainly to protect myself and my friends, as I'm hitting very close to the mark when I'm talking about the UN. As a bearer of a diplomatic immunity, anonymity is something I had to consider. Interesting. Even more interesting that it took the whole 5 minutes to find his real name. It begins with TH. I'm not going to expose it here out of respect to YouTube guidelines. But Mario, you've hit the mark this time. And it is happening now. The former Soviet spy is coming right after you. With love, from Jamaica. As it turns out, Mario, who is a journalist, book author, timeshare seller, and a diplomat, began his career in industrial counter-espionage with a Kickstarter project, where he raised over $10,000 to create the world's smallest multimeter. There he claims to be an experienced businessman who started manufacturing security and surveillance equipment from 1997, then went into banking and biometric equipment, and then sold the company. This is what he said back then.
Hi, this is Mario from Sensify. We're days away from launching our Kickstarter campaign, which will promote the world's smallest multimeter. Now, this is not a reason why I'm here though. This video is not about promoting you to buy the multimeter. It's to buy the company, the distribution chip, an exclusivity contract for you to distribute our product in your country exclusively.
So he created a Kickstarter project not to develop the product, but to persuade people to buy the right to distribute the product that had not even been established. Not surprised, funding for this project was suspended by Kickstarter, and I just hope that those 10,000 was returned to those who pledged. But remember, his company was called Sensify. That company had a Facebook page, here, which was then turned into head-up display for glasses and environment gaming for some reason, and then magically turned into crypto and gadgets news, before becoming the Uncoin, cryptocurrency and ICO news. He doesn't sell cryptocurrency. He created his own.
Hi, my name is Mario. I'm a Canadian entrepreneur who had the chance to retire at the age of 33. Since then, I have lived and traveled all over the world. It is extremely difficult if you live in a developing nation to accumulate coins because of your computer speed and the electricity that you have to pay. Uncoin will completely change this by allowing...
Sorry, I just found this so funny. What, Canadian people don't pay for electricity? And what does he mean by computer speed? Is he really suggesting that my MacBook Pro in Jamaica is working slower than his MacBook Pro in Canada? Well, obviously he's talking about internet speed, but he, for some reason, doesn't know what it's called. Go on.
Uncoin will completely change this by allowing anybody around the world with a computer or a phone to be able to mine coins by helping other people or by creating something that other people will want, is the beauty of Uncoin. Not only decentralized, but a great equalizer.
This is how Uncoin works. You donate money to him and he gives you Uncoin in return. But it's not a real cryptocurrency. It doesn't exist. The website uncoin.com doesn't exist anymore either. But with the Wayback Machine, we can see that he was trying to collect money from people. To clarify, people were giving money to him thinking they were investing in cryptocurrency, but they got nothing in return. What is it called? Scam. It's a scam. And he keeps advertising his Uncoin on his other YouTube channels. He has 4 of them, these ones. A little tip for Mario. You see, Facebook has a function called page transparency. It says with big letters here. So anyone can find what page's been doing before and find the linked accounts. I just thought you might want to know that as someone who specializes in counter-espionage. Look, I'm from Ukraine, living in Jamaica, both developing countries, so don't take my advice seriously, but maybe it's better to create a new Facebook page for each of your projects. The same applies for your websites, by the way. Website MarioStinger.com currently talks about travel tips, diplomatic immunity and privileges, but this was not always the case. The domain he used before was Maxell.com. If you type Maxell.com now, it will take you to MarioStinger.com. However, if you use Wayback Machine again, you can see what he was doing before. For example, selling his own cryptocurrency miners, of course, but also running self-publishing companies, supposedly helping new talents to become published authors. Then he was given marketing and reputation tips, fitness and diving tips, and selling herbs and anti-aging booster products for intelligence. And look, I've just found his 5th YouTube channel, devoted just to that, with a lot of videos that have now been removed from YouTube. For those who don't live in the internet, let me clarify. All of these businesses are typical projects that scammers run to get money out of people on the internet. I'm not claiming he's a scammer. It's for authorities to decide. I'm just saying that he's been running projects that have strong association with scamming. But wait, how any of this is relevant to his experience in Jamaica? And really, I would have never mentioned any of this here if not for a single fact. A large part of his video is about Jamaican people, and he says that Jamaicans are dishonest, irresponsible, and thieves. In his opinion, they steal everything from electricity to containers.
All the time they were stealing things. The maids stealing it. But apparently Jamaicans do steal containers a lot. By stealing electricity, lies and the deceit and this is my maid, she steal bread that I made. So micro theft with the maid or huge theft by companies, this is a standard on the island.
He blames his helper for stealing bread, while he himself appears to be stealing thousands of dollars from people by scamming them in the internet. Maybe unsuccessful, but again, for authorities to decide. At least it explains why he kept looking down on people in Jamaica. I mean, micro theft, amateurs, fake cryptocurrency. That's how it's done, boys and girls. That's how it's done. But wait again, here's another question. How can someone like him be hired by the United Nations or be a diplomat? In his video, we can clearly see his BMW with yellow plates for diplomats in Kingston Airport. What is more, he has a course on Udemy where he talks about how to get a job at United Nations, and many things he mentions there make sense. So what's going on? Well, Mario told us. There was a comment under his video asking what happened to his wife and daughter. Mario conveniently pinned that comment, replied with details, and mentioned that his wife was attacked by a guy near her work, which means that his wife had a job in Jamaica. If you're a diplomat who's sent to work in a different country, your partner is not allowed to work there unless the partner is also a diplomat, works for the same organization, and sent to the same country. Sometimes this happens, but not our case. Mario was never employed to the United Nations. His wife was. She worked in Jamaica at the International Seabed Authority, which is under the UN. So his wife is a diplomat, and he is a house husband who stayed in Jamaica on a dependent visa with no right to work. There is nothing wrong about being a house husband or a housewife for this matter on a dependent visa. That's perfectly fine. When I got my work permit in Jamaica, my husband came on a dependent visa as well. But there is everything wrong about pretending to be a diplomat working for the United Nations when you are not. I mean, technically, he's a diplomat by extension because of his wife, same as his little daughter. But that's not what he means when he writes things like, I'm a Canadian diplomat living in Beirut. In Beirut again, anyway. While his wife was at work in Jamaica, he was creating fake cryptocurrency and selling brain food under diplomatic immunity.
This is incredible.
It's just crazy.
Trust me, if you use my membership, you'll be treated like that celebrity. It's not a joke. When somebody invests that much money in a resort, everybody knows us. The managers welcome us at the resort when we arrive.
A message for Mario. No matter how much money you have, all the luxury and benefits, none of this will make people treat you like a celebrity, because you're not a celebrity. You're just another customer with money. That's it. Being a celebrity means having admiration and respect from other people. Money and benefits come as a result. It's not the cause. You got it backwards. That's why it didn't work for you. If you really want to be treated like a celebrity, you need to do something significant in your life. Okay, more significant than pretending to be a diplomat using your wife's position while trying to get rich quick doing questionable activities. Otherwise, you can get famous, but famous for all the wrong reasons. For this video, I'd like to give special thanks to our patrons who helped me a lot with the research, especially Zaki, who happens to be a professional web developer. I would also like to thank my husband AJ, who managed to find a phone number for a person who knew Mario's wife in Jamaica. And of course, that person. Thank you for helping me to verify quite a few important points. And as always, special thanks to our top tier patrons for supporting the channel. Without the patrons, this video would have never been produced. If you wish to join our team and support investigative journalism, you can do so at patreon.com/Jamaica with IRIE. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.